Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. Today we're going to be talking about how your friends view you. So how does your friend group think of you? What is their image or impression of you that they have? We're going to be getting into all of it, and today we have a beautiful selection of different pies for you guys to choose from. So if you've been to this channel before, you know the drill, and you can just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description as soon as you know which of these pie slices is for you. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. And basically, I do pick a card readings, but I often use food items for your pile selection. So basically, you're going to see which of these slices of pie is just calling your energy and your attention towards it, just drawing you in. And then as soon as you've decided which of the pie slices is the one for you, you can scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description and jump into your pile. That will be the pile with the message for you. So I'm going to put the timestamps up on the screen, but pile number 1 is that cherry pie. Then we have peach pie. Pile number 2. Pile 3 is the blueberry pie, and pile 4 is the apple pie. I do want to mention that if you like how I read tarot and if you want to see more of my content, then please check out my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted a reading all about who you're meant to be, and there is still time if you sign up now to enter into the poll for the next 2 readings, so you can still vote on the upcoming readings we're going to do. But as soon as you sign up, you will get access to over 60 additional readings about love, spirituality, career, relocation. I mean, there's so many different topics to choose from. So if you want to see, like I said, more of my tarot, that's where you can find it. Just head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description for my Patreon, and I would love to see you there. And if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a half-hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, and you get to really ask me whatever you'd like. You can do a love reading, a career reading, a year ahead reading, just a little energy check-in. But yeah, it's very open-ended. You get to really choose what we talk about, so within reason, of course. Most things are allowed to be asked about. So if you want to get a reading with me, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So with all of that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, if you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading. So let's get into your cards. So you guys got the Knight of Swords, the Chariot, 2 of Swords, 8 of Wands, 8 of Swords, and the Knight of Cups. So I feel like there is an energy around you guys that when you're very curious about the world, you're very creative, a lot of you guys might have a lot of interest, and your friends may think of you as that person who just randomly knows a lot, almost like that person you would want to have on your team at trivia night, or someone who's just like always reading, always on top of like whatever news just came out or whatever book is being talked about, or whatever movie is avant-garde and on everyone's mind. You might be the first to know. They might think of you even as someone who's like fashion forward or very on top of fashiony things, or I could also see a lot of you guys being someone who has a distinctive fashion sense or wears something that's kind of like dark academia or light academia, but there's a definite intellectual vibe around you guys. And I feel like your friends generally think of you as really smart and someone that I wouldn't say they necessarily honestly would turn to you for advice in a way, because I feel like your mind is so fast moving. Some of you guys might even have ADHD or just be like very easily distracted because your mind is like off kind of in another dimension, so it's kind of like you would be that friend that maybe someone wouldn't go to you for like practical advice of like, what do I do? I'm fighting with my boyfriend, I'm not sure what to do. But they would go to you for like wisdom about like, hey, do you know about this weird 1980s horror film? Like my boyfriend wants me to watch it, and is it good? Because they know that you would randomly have watched this horror film, just because I feel like you guys are very kind of like culturally literate, I guess. Like you're very on top of, like I said, different TV shows, art, movies, music, and just very like educated and aware of a lot of things. So I feel like a lot of your friends have a lot of respect for your aesthetic, for your vibe, and they think of you in an like artistic, cool type of way. So I feel like you would have friends going to you for fashion sense or fashion advice, and there's a quirkiness about you. There's a lack of need to fit in. Like, I feel like some of you guys, maybe you have Aquarius placements. I could also see definitely Gemini coming through for this pile. But I feel like there's something about you that you're not afraid to be different. You're not afraid to kind of be outside the box or to do things in a way that other people would find unusual. You're kind of okay or even enjoy kind of doing things a little bit left of center. So I feel like your friends think of you as someone who, like I said, is very on top of trends, or someone who would know almost like the best places to go in town as well. Like, I'm seeing someone giving out restaurant recommendations. I'm seeing someone who, people might DM you or message you like, hey, I'm going into this city. I know you traveled there once. Could you tell me about the best hotel to stay in? And you're like, how would I know? Like, I visited there once. But I feel like people trust your taste. They think you have good taste. They think you are a good arbiter of style and fashion. And there's also something very youthful about you guys. Some of you might just have a prominent Mercury in your chart. So I could see being a Virgo as well, or just a strong Mercury, like Mercury conjunct the sun or the ascendant, or in the first house, conjunct the moon. But a powerful Mercury, I feel, is something you guys have. And there's that mercurial curiosity, openness. And also, one thing Mercury does is it can make people have a youthful appearance, especially when it's aspecting the ascendant or aspecting the sun. It can make someone just look younger than they actually are and have a vibe of being younger than they are. And it might make someone able to fit in with younger people as well. So like, whereas maybe everyone else is like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna wear the same fashion, someone with a strong Mercury might be like very on top of like, oh, I want to wear this, and like this trend is changing. Not that they're doing that on purpose to fit in, but just that, they kind of move with the crowd and they have a young vibe to them. So they could maybe even pass themselves off as like being younger than they are, or having a lot younger friends, because their mind just kind of works that way. So I feel like maybe some of you guys have younger friends or something, but I feel like people think of you as kind of hip, cool, like on top, like I keep saying on top of things, but that's what I guess the vibe is like when everyone else is maybe moving on and not really paying attention, you just feel like you keep yourselves very much in the loop, and you feel like I feel like a lot of people would go to you, like I said, for advice about like what's current or what's happening, or if they're like, oh, I just saw this really cool movie and it's like a little art house film and I need someone to talk to it with, you would be the person they would probably call thinking that you'd seen it. Or if they heard of a new band and they were like, that seems really cool, you'd be the one they'd text and be like, hey, have you listened to this band? And you're like, yeah, I've listened to it, I like the album, blah blah blah. But like, I feel like you just know so much, and I feel like your friends think of this as something really cool about you. There's a smartness, there's an intelligence. I also feel like you'd probably be amazing in conversation, probably be easy to conversate with. Mercury dominant people tend to be this way anyways. So could be Gemini sun, Virgo sun, or all the prominent Mercury that I was just naming. So Mercury in the sun, conjunct the sun, or conjunct ascendant, blah blah blah, all those placements. I feel like you guys would be great in conversation. I feel like you would be someone who would just be interesting to talk to, have a lot to say. You might think about things in a really different or unique way. So like, whereas someone else might be like, oh yeah, I thought that was good, and kind of like, there's not that much going on, that they have to contribute. You'd be like, yes, I did see that, and I was thinking blah blah blah, and it might make your mind really go very fast. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people think of you as a fun, possibly very funny, and like a fun person to have adventures with. Like, I feel like it's never boring around you. You always have something interesting to add, and it's kind of like an intellectual interesting vibe you have. Not just like interesting as in like fire energy, like we're just gonna go do this and it's gonna be wild, we're gonna jump off the pier and we're gonna like, we're gonna go try to steal ice cream from the ice cream place, but then we're gonna run, like, you know, crazy stuff like that. Not saying fire sign steal or anything like that, but you know what I mean, some of that reckless, like, exciting energy. I don't feel like you have that. I feel like it's more along the lines of interesting conversation, keeping people on their toes, not being sure how you're gonna react or what you're gonna say, or you know, because I feel like you would take interesting stances on things. Like, whereas everyone else might be like, oh yeah, like, I heard online that he is problematic, so I disagree, blah, 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 and just kind of like recite back something. You'd be the person to really think for yourself and be like, oh, well, actually, I think this, or yeah, I do think he's problematic, and here's why. But it feels like you really make your own decisions up, you make your own mind up. And like I said, I feel like it's just interesting for people to even hear like your takes on things. Some of you guys, because the Knight of Swords literally can have a future as someone who's like a radio talk show host or a talk show host or a YouTuber that speaks for a long time. It generally is someone with like I said, interesting perspective, a good voice, and someone who has interesting things to say. Let's get into some of these other cards. So we got the Winged Wise Ones, Angelic Help, Miraculous Aid, the Cosmos, Creativity, Vastness, the Fire Prince, Optimism, Aggression, and the Spiral Dancer, Circuitous Route, Perception. So again, there's that highly creative vibe a lot of you guys have. I definitely could see some of you guys in this pile being like writers or artists, or fashion people in some way. But I do feel like there is that desire to create, and there's that intelligence that allows you to actually do it. So if you were going to write something, you could probably actually come up with a really interesting plot line and come up with really unique characters, and it wouldn't just be like run-of-the-mill boring whatever. It would be something that genuinely I feel like people are like, I've never read anything like this is so cool, or I've never seen this kind of YouTube video or whatever. It's just, I think you're someone that really can hold people's attention, and you have a mind that really works quickly and is very perceptive and thinks and sees things on a very deep level. So again, I feel like your friends think of you as someone who's very fun, that they like spending time with, that they enjoy being around. And also there's some connection. I'm seeing some of you guys with like a young person, like a child, like a kid. So I don't know if some of you guys are good with kids, or I don't know what this is. I think that you guys are good with kids, but there also is this vibe of you as being kind of a role model. You might be the kind of person who would like stick up for the underdog or stick up for someone being bullied. Or you might be the kind of person who has a lot, like I said, I was saying earlier, has a lot of young friends. Or this could be just a vibe of you guys like having a connection somehow to young people. So just fitting in with them, or people just wanting you to be a role model, almost like wanting you to be a godparent, or wanting you to like talk to kids. Because I feel like you guys just, you almost have that like Mr. Rogers quality, you know, where he can get along with kids and like tell them these stories and capture their imagination, and he kind of has this like very intelligent but patient vibe. I feel like you're that way. You seem very open to all different kinds of people. Like you wouldn't be judgmental and be like, oh, I don't want to be friends with this person because they have this background or because they are into this. Like I feel like someone could come to you and kind of tell you whatever, and you're going to be very accepting of it. You're going to be very open to it. You don't really judge people at face value, so you probably have a lot of different friends. And I also am hearing you guys can be quite funny and saying things very much out of the blue. It's almost like unintentionally funny, you know, like someone who is really smart but kind of sometimes says things that are kind of goofy or silly. So I feel like your friends think back on that really fondly. Like sometimes you might be the kind of person, it's almost like that Nutty Professor vibe, someone who's really smart and could probably tell you super intense math or science information, but if you ask them like common sense stuff, they might not know it. Or if you were like, what's the price of a banana, they wouldn't know that. And also you might have a lot of like references with TV shows or movies and stuff. I feel like if someone made a joke and they were referencing like a cartoon or something, you'd pick up on it right away. You have a very quick mind, you're very perceptive. It's funny because Mercury rules intelligence, and it's also a very playful, and it's a mischief causing energy. So you guys might be kind of mischievous. So don't let anyone say, oh, if someone's smart, then they're not going to be like a jokester, because actually in astrology, those are like the same types of energies. There's other intelligence energies as well, but Mercury is a major one. So I feel like a lot of you guys, you might play pranks, or you might have a really great sense of humor and be kind of playful. I'm hearing some of you guys, especially when you drink, you might be like the type where you might get kind of feisty, or if a guy is coming up to you and saying like goofy stuff, trying to hit on you, you might be the type to like kind of make fun of him or say something kind of like funny back that your friends are like, oh my God, like she's being wild again, you know? Or if you're a guy, whatever the guy equivalent, I just feel like there's something kind of funny about you and fun that really keeps your friends on their toes. It's kind of like they don't know what you're going to do next or what you're going to say next. And they're always kind of looking out of like, I need to like manage pile one, because I feel like some of you guys could be a little bit wild, like the kind of person who could get yourself in trouble or something. You know, you might be very blunt or honest, or there might be something about you that, like I said, if you've been drinking, you will like find an adventure, you know, and go off and go in quest of like the burger you're craving, and end up like walking with your heels off around town or something, and your friends are like, oh my God, we have to manage her. But I feel like there's something about you that, yeah, you're always like up for it. You know, you're always, if someone asks you to do something or go somewhere or try something new, you're like, yeah, I'm down. There's something very open-minded about you, and there's something that I think your friends think is kind of refreshing. Like I feel like they can come to you with literally whatever, and you would listen, you'd be non-judgmental, and you'd be very attentive. Your mind is really intelligent, so you'd probably be able to give them really good advice on like an intelligent level, not just an emotional level, but a real world intelligence type of level. So if they were going to start a business, you might be able to be like, okay, so when you go file taxes, you want to blah, 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 and just knowing stuff like that, that not everyone would know. You wouldn't just be the person for the emotional support being like, yeah, you can do this, and that kind of wisdom, but more along the lines of like practical, like, okay, make sure that when you hire your blah, blah, blah manager, make sure that they have XXX, whatever, you know what I mean? So you just know a lot, I feel like, about a lot of different things. Let's get into some of these cards for pile number one. What can you tell me about how pile one's friends think of pile one? And I was shuffling that upside down, so I flipped it. Oh, clarity. Yep. You guys have a lot of clarity and wisdom, I think, to give a lot of people. Like, I feel like you're really good at advice. You're really good at like giving someone direction or foresights. You know a lot about so many different things. That was too many cards. And I think your friends really, really respect that about you. There is also this energy I just heard, always landing on their feet. So I also feel like there's an energy about you having good luck, or just being someone who your friends might sometimes be like, oh my God, how did you get yourself into this situation? Like I was saying, you might be that drunk friend that like wanders off after having a few drinks, you know, like takes off their heels and walks down the city sidewalk, but it's almost like you might have an amazing tale at the end of it. Like, oh yeah, well, this group of girls walked by and they were like, oh my God, are your heels hurting? And then they, you know, one of them had an extra pair of like flats and they gave it to me, and then they invited me inside the club, and then they had this huge table and I was dancing on the table with them. Turns out they were models, and we ended up being invited to like blah blah blah. And so yeah, sorry I ditched you guys. Like, you know what I mean? You might be one of those people that just always seems to have a crazy fun story no matter where you go, or your friends are kind of like, I never know what to expect from them. I never know if they're traveling or where they're going. They're always doing things. They're always on to the new now next, you know, they're always trying some new adventure. And I feel like you have that optimistic, lucky quality about you. It's almost giving like Sagittarius energy of someone who is just very open to new experiences and is like like I was saying, you're kind of the life of the party. You have a great conversational ability. I could see you guys being very charming. So I could literally see that. Whereas someone else might be walking down the street wearing their heel. I know this is like metaphor. I keep mentioning the same thing, but this is what's coming to my mind. So in that same story where someone left the club, their heels are hurting, they take off their heels and now they're walking around barefoot, they might have had that same group of girls come up to them and be like, oh my God, your feet hurt, you need flats. And it's just kind of awkward. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess, thanks. And they don't really hit it off. And so, you know, the group of girls goes off onto the club on their own and goes to their table and nothing fun happens, you know, because they don't have that same charisma that you guys have. They don't have that same like joie de vivre, I want to say. Like you feel like you are just enthusiastic about everything, joyful. And I feel like you could get along with like anyone. And so I feel like in that way, you're always making friends wherever you go. You have all these kind of like unique experiences and opportunities come your way because your energy is infectious. So I feel like your friends kind of like never know what to expect, and they may say things like, oh my God, only pile one could do this. Only pile one could live this life or have this story or end up in this place, or only pile one could travel to a new country and end up befriending all these people even though they don't speak the language. Like I feel like there's something about you guys that, yeah, you're always on some new tip. You're always going new places, trying new things, discovering new things. So let's get into some astrology dice for you guys for pile number 1. So we got the 4th house, Cancer. We also have Cancer right here with the Chariot. And then we have Jupiter, which I was mentioning, Sagittarius energy. Jupiter rules Sag, and Aquarius. So I mentioned 2 of these signs. And we have the Cancer energy with the Chariot. So Cancer energy is definitely like the mom, the dad of the group. So your friends may think of you as a mom, dad, and I do get that vibe. Also, Cancer is great with children because it is mom energy. So again, there's a vibe where I feel like you might be great with kids in some way, and you guys it might not even have to be like an actual literal child. It might just be you have young friends, or you attract friends that kind of like are younger than you, even just energetically, and they may look up to you. They may think of you as a role model. Some of your friends may really be in awe of you, pile number 1. They may think of you as like, wow, oh my God, pile 1 is so cool. Even if they don't tell you that, they may, you know, because it'd be an awkward thing to say to someone, they may think of you that way, like, wow, pile 1's just so cool. They do all this cool stuff. And they may look at your Instagram or whatever and like refresh it and try to see what you're up to and just think everything you do is like awesome. Really, you know, surprising and different and unique, and that you just have this boldness and confidence to you that I feel like people are really drawn to. Then we have Aquarius, which does rule over large groups of people, the 11th house. So I would say overall, you're probably pretty well liked and probably can get along with all different types of people. Aquarius is also ruled by Uranus, which is the planet of different, new, totally surprising energies, which makes so much sense for you guys. And also the thing about Aquarius is, like I was saying, Aquarius is never going to judge someone because they're like different, because Aquarius loves different things. They love to look different. They love to stand out. As I mentioned earlier, you guys, I feel like would maybe be on top of trends, but it's just something that comes naturally to you. And it's not driven out of a place of like, I hope I fit in. I hope I look cool. I feel like you're just someone who likes to express yourself, and you just naturally stay in tune with like the collective. That's also an energy Aquarius is very tuned into, is the energy of the collective. So you guys just might naturally find that you're like gravitating to something before it becomes a big trend. So like you get into like 1950s big band revival music and you're just naturally gravitating towards it, and the next thing you know, it's like a huge trend and it's blowing up on like TikTok or something, and you're like, okay, that's weird. Like I'm always predicting these trends. And again, I feel like that's something your friends notice about you. Like, wow, okay, pile 1 is doing it. Okay, it must be a new trend. It must be something that's going to be really cool. And then as I was saying, we got this Jupiter energy, Sagittarius energy, which is a planet of luck, good, blessings, abundance. And also Jupiter, you know, tends to be a sign that's very optimistic, a sign that is open to travel, open to meeting new people. It's not a jaded energy of like, oh, everything's going to go bad. It's an overly optimistic type of energy. And in that way, I think Jupiter makes its own luck as well, because they are so lucky. They assume things are going to work out, and then things do work out, and then they have more belief in their luck, and then they get more luck. So it's like this very positive energy, and I feel like a lot of you guys have that about you. You just seem lucky, and I feel like a lot of your friends probably say like, how does pile one do it? How does pile one have all these cool stories? How does pile one go to these cool places or make these different friends? Or wow, pile one is just always making these interesting things happen for themselves. So I feel like a lot of your friends and the people in your life think of you as kind of like a renegade, or someone who's just very different, a maverick, someone who really isn't afraid to color outside the lines or be different or be unique or go different places. And someone that I think you really inspire your social group and your friend group to like be a little bit bolder, try new things. And they love your energy. They see you as a very infectious and fun person to be around, that, you know, you can make everyone laugh. You could probably talk to absolutely anyone. And I think a lot of people in your friend group actually really look up to you, pile one. So yeah, I think that is what I have for you guys. I hope it resonated. If it did, you can check out all my other readings here on YouTube, and make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That all helps the channel, and you can see more of my stuff. And if you want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading. Wait, what did I post a reading about? I can't even remember, but there's so many readings up there, you guys, and new ones go up. Oh, it's who you're meant to be. New ones go up all the time. There's over 60 readings. So as soon as you sign up for Patreon, you'll get access to everything. That one was just posted. A new one is going up very, very soon. So there's still time for you to enter into the vote to decide our next couple of readings. So if you would like to join me over there, then sign up now. I would absolutely love to have you over on Patreon, joining our little team over there and getting access to all my other readings over there. But thank you guys for, oh, and I didn't mention, I also have a website if you want to book a private reading with me. So go to briarrosetarot.com and sign up for a half-hour or full hour-long reading with me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. So take care, guys, and I'll see you then. Bye. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So for your cards, you guys got the Hermit, the King of Wands, the Temperance, Six of Wands, the Devil card, and the Two of Pentacles. So you are really seen as a leader within your friend group. A lot of your friends look up to you and really see you in a way as a authority figure to them. They may see you as the leader of the group, or just someone who has a level of power and dynamism to you that you kind of unconsciously influence the rest of the group. So you may be that person in the group that if everyone's like, oh, let's go out afterwards and go to this little diner nearby, and you're like, oh, I kind of hate that diner, I don't think I want to go, that everyone in your group would kind of like be like, oh, never mind, let's pick somewhere else. Actually, let's just go get Mexican food or something that Pile 2 would like. So you may not realize, but I feel like you guys really influence the energies and also the actions of the people around you in your friend group, and they may really hold you in very high regard. I am hearing that some of them are intimidated by you, but they would never actually tell you that. They see you as a little bit of a renegade, someone who does your own thing and marches to the beat of your own drum and doesn't really care how other people take it or receive it. I feel like a lot of you guys are always doing crazy things. You might have a lot of adventures or crazy stories to tell, or just be someone who very much keeps everyone on their toes and has everyone surprised. So maybe like you come back from a summer vacation and you have like a really steady boyfriend, and all your friends are like, wait, where did he come from? I thought you were totally single and you were going to be single for the rest of the summer, and you're suddenly like completely linked up with this person. Or maybe you're like, hey guys, I got this new job, and I know it's kind of crazy, it's a really high up position, but I reached out and I sent my resume out and yeah, I got the job. But I feel like you're always surprising your friends, and they have a level of respect for the way that you just do things kind of unexpectedly. You surprise everyone. Like I said, you keep people on their toes. And I honestly feel like a lot of your friends actually feel privileged to be friends with you. They think of you as someone who's very exciting, and there's a level of glamour to you as well. There's a level of like kind of sparkliness. Like I'm seeing a little disco ball in my mind. So I feel like there's, even though you're surprising people, you're not doing it in a way where they're like, oh, well, that's cool. But anyway, okay, you got a new job, whatever. It may be that the job you get is just glamorous, or the way you present it, or the stories you tell, or just the way you live your life. People are like, oh my gosh, not only did they get that really high up accounting job, but I know they're going to be like probably dating the cute guy that's like the president of the company or something. There's just something glamorous about how you guys move, how you carry yourself. And I feel like a lot of your friends really respect the kind of hustle you guys have. A lot of you guys are hustlers. You're not boring. You might even have trouble like staying still or just being kind of quiet. You may be someone who's very extroverted or outgoing or kind of vocal or loud, but I feel like a lot of your friends, it's almost like they can feel your energy come into the room, where they can see you coming a mile away, and they just know that you're going to be that person who's going to be the life of the party, who's going to be like dancing on top of the tables at the club. Or if you like a guy, you're not just going to be like the wallflower in the corner staring over at him. You're going to go up to him and actually talk to him. There's something very bold and exciting about you, and I feel like your friends see you as this very glamorous, almost like a celebrity. Like I honestly feel like a lot of your friends see you with a celebrity vibe, or look up to you in a way with like, how do they live this life? How do they do this? That's so cool. I wish I had her boldness and her energy. And I do feel like a lot of you guys, when you walk into the room, it's like heads turn. People turn to look at you because they see you as this very attractive, and there's just a special je ne sais quoi energy about you, as the French would say. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but there's something about you that heads would turn. It's almost like you have a natural charisma to you, or you have a natural vibe that others are just drawn to you. And you may even make your friends do things that they like wouldn't normally do. With this devil card, you might be like a bad influence a little bit, where some of your friends might be like, I told you I was gonna go in early tonight and I have to wake up super early for work tomorrow, but you convince them to stay out until like 3 a.m., you know, going out to the bars, going out to the clubs, but it's always a fun night. You would maybe like introduce them to a new group of guys, or you would be the one who were like, I see you checking out that guy in the corner. I'm going over and I'm grabbing him and I'm bringing him to you and I'm going to go talk to him. But I feel like there's something about you that your friends are just kind of in awe of. They think of you as someone who's really cool. They think of you as someone that when you show up to the party, they know it's going to be a good time. They know you're going to probably show up very well dressed, looking cute, looking glamorous. And I feel like a lot of people around you honestly feel privileged to be your friend. They think of it as kind of a flex on their part that you would even hang out or spend time with them. You may be someone who like is willing to cut people off really quick if they start annoying you, or just wouldn't tolerate any bad behavior from a friend, or be someone who would, you know, like not be willing to allow someone in who's not really bringing stuff to the table and who's kind of boring. So I feel like your friends think of being friends with you as a flex for them. Like they are proud to post you on their stories, or they are proud to post you, you know, in an Instagram post or whatever, because I feel like you just make a really good impression. Some of you guys are just very physically attractive and you have a natural sex appeal to you. This may also be something your friends are aware of. They may feel like, oh gosh, when like pile two gets their eye on someone, it's like game over. Like, yeah, maybe we're all dressed up cute to go out for like girls' night or guys' night, but as soon as pile two sets their sight on the guy they like or the girl they like, that, you know what, it's going to be no chance for the rest of us. They're going to zero in and they're going to be on it, and they're going to just make it happen. So if pile 2 decides that they have a crush on a guy, there's no chance for the rest of us because they just have that level of natural charisma, natural sex appeal, natural beauty that all the rest of us kind of wish we could have. There's just something dynamic, exciting. It's almost like some of you guys could have been like a femme fatale in like a 1980s movie, or like a temptress. I'm thinking of, like, if anyone has seen this movie, I love this movie, but it's Body Heat. It's like from the 80s, early 80s, but it's such a good movie. But Kathleen Turner's character, because she's like this very glamorous, physically beautiful, and she just kind of lures this guy into this whole situation. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's a really good movie, but yeah, I feel like you have that vibe, or even like Jessica Rabbit or something like that, you know? And a lot of it is like power that you exude. So I do feel like your friends, some of them might even like be afraid of getting on your bad side or not want to mess with you in that way. They may, you know, worry about you getting sick of them or kicking them out of the group. And there may be a quality to you where you're not afraid to ghost someone. Like there may be something where, you know, if someone really annoys you, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not talking to you anymore. That's it. Like, sorry, but I'm over this, and I'm just blocking your number, or I'm not even going to respond to your text. I feel like there's something about you that maybe people have been cut off by you in the past, is kind of what I'm hearing. But honestly, I don't even know if they're like mad about it, or they're just kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, you know, I did do something wrong, or kind of like I don't even blame her because she's so fun and she seems like she has so many friends. So like I kind of was expecting this moment to happen, so I'm not even mad about it. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people honestly also think in your friend group that you will be a big financial success and that you're going to end up making a lot of money because you just seem to have that bold, almost like CEO energy, like powerhouse energy. You know, you are, yeah, something really dynamic, powerful, and very exciting about you. Let's get into some of these cards. So we got the Altar Priestess, preparation, prayer, sacred ritual, the Lady of the Mirror, reflection, non-judgment, the Eyes of Beauty, positive expectations, clarity, and finally the Horse King, assistance, control. So I feel like a lot of your friends may even go to you for advice on like dating or flirting or whatever. You may find that people just randomly ask you for advice on relationships or even like sex, something like that. Like they may ask you for like sex tips or something, and you're like, why do I give off this vibe? Like, what is going on? But I feel like you have this magnetism. People can tell that, you know, you're probably good with whatever you're into. If you're into dating guys or girls or whatever, that, you know, you're good with that. You have this flirtatious sex appeal about you. So people may come to you for wisdom or advice, or I have a crush on this guy, how should I approach him? And you may sometimes be like, why do people keep asking me this stuff? Like, this is annoying, or this is weird, or whatever. But I feel like it's because they kind of wish they had that natural charisma that's a part of you guys. We are heavy in fire so far. So we have 2 fire cards. We have the King of Wands and the Six of Wands. So that would be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. And I am feeling that glamour that fire gives off, that powerful sexuality, or even placements like Mars aspecting the sun can give off that very strong, you know, fiery, bold energy that I feel like you guys have. So you might also be perceived as someone who's naturally energetic. And I'm also hearing that people may be very attracted to your hair, especially if you guys have big hair. It's almost like if you guys could be an era, I feel like you would be like the 80s. And it's funny that that movie Body Heat came up because it is from the early 80s. I love the 80s, and I love how glamorous they were back then. Like the hair was big, the like bodies, you know, the women would wear like these high shoulder pad bodysuits and like exude their power. The supermodels back then, you know, they were like so like kind of curvaceous and tall and just stunning. And I feel like there's that quality to you guys, like this big, bold, bright, beautiful, show-stopping, eye-catching. It's kind of like there's stages with the models, you know, and sometimes they like them to look kind of like small and sleek, and they're kind of less intimidating. And I think the most intimidating models were from the 80s, you know. It was like Christy Turlington and Naomi Campbell and Cindy Crawford, because they just seemed so beautiful and so like powerful about them. They physically they looked strong, and I feel like that's your vibe, you know, you just seem a little intimidating. So people definitely may sometimes not approach you, or may assume at first like they're afraid of you. You might sometimes get weird vibes from people, or someone in your friend group may tell you things like, when I first met you, I was so intimidated, or I was scared of you, or something like that. Yeah, there is this physical beauty aspect around you guys for sure. I feel like a lot of your friends just think of you as very attractive, and they may also really respect the kind of clothes you wear, or the fashions you style for yourself, the way you dress yourself, maybe something they find really attractive. And they may even try to sometimes copy your style, which I could totally imagine you guys would find annoying at times, or irritating, the way they may take inspiration from you and sometimes kind of not give you that credit, or you're just like, excuse me, that was my look. I'm seeing Cher from Clueless, so kind of like how she's this leader to the whole school, and everyone looks up to her in that way. I feel like a lot of you guys have that energy about you, and you just seem like someone who's always doing new things. You might be perceived as someone who has a very busy schedule, a very busy life. This may be even a concern for some of your friends. Like maybe at times they want to text you and invite you somewhere, but they're like, oh my God, Pile 2 would probably be really busy. And they'd probably even think it was lame if I text them last minute and asked them to go out with me on a Friday night, because I know they're the kind of person that would have like 5 party invitations already. So they would think it's lame. I don't have plans yet, you know. But I feel like, yeah, you do intimidate people a little bit. And there is this vibe of them kind of not being sure what to say, how to approach you, any of that. And they may also see you as someone who's very intuitive, I feel, especially in the way of seeing through someone's BS. So I feel like people in your friend group, they sometimes get nervous talking to you, because they may feel like if they were to tell a little white lie, or try to like pass something off in a way that's not entirely truthful, that you would see through it. So like if they were to buy like a fake designer bag and wear it, that you might be that person that would like point it out and be like, excuse me, is that fake? Like, or even if you didn't point it out, but you would clock it, you would notice it, and you would have that taste where you're like, that looks a little off to me. Or that you would be the kind of person where if they were telling you like a story about why they got in a fight with their boyfriend and wanted advice or something on that, that you would be that person who would be like, okay, it sounds like you kind of messed up. I think you're the one in the wrong. You know, I feel like a lot of you guys are very blunt, honest. So there is that intimidation, or there is that factor of people kind of like holding their tongue around you, or being afraid to say that, or worrying that you guys may, you know, kind of get mad at them, to be honest, like fly off the handle a little bit. You might be perceived as someone who has a bit of a temper. Let's get into some of these cards. How do Pile 2's friends view them? How do Pile 2's friends perceive them? Prosperity. I'm telling you, a lot of people are perceiving you as someone who's going to have a lot of wealth one day and a lot of success. They may see you as someone who's just destined to succeed, because you have this natural energy about you, and because you're so bold and unafraid. Like if a promotion came up or a new job came up, you would be the first person to like volunteer for it, and you would walk into that CEO's office confidently, and you would be able to like talk to them and charm them, and in, you know, 10 minutes you'd have them laughing and inviting you out for a drink after or something. You know, you just have that charm about you. And like I said, so much of it is confidence, so much of it is the way you carry yourself and knowing your self-worth. But I feel like a lot of people are like, wow, Pile 2, like I wish I could be like Pile 2. I wish I could learn from Pile 2. I wish I could be more of that boldness that they give off naturally. Let's get into more cards for pile number 2. How do Pile 2's friends perceive Pile 2? Freedom. Because I definitely feel like you guys are the person that just does what you want, and that's such fire energy. Fire is not going to be bossed around and told what to do by other people. Fire is not going to be like forced to listen to your rules. Fire is going to do exactly what they want to do, and they really don't care what other people think of it or what others have to say. Fire is like, I'm going to do me, and if you don't like it, I don't care, to be honest. So I feel like a lot of people, they would be afraid to try to tell you or give you advice or boss you around. They'd be like, you know what, I'm just not going to say this. Like your friends are just like, you know what, even if she makes a mistake, I'm just happy that I get to be in her group, so I'm not going to say a word. Let's get one final card from this deck. What is this? Good luck. Okay, that makes sense because I am picking up on that Sagittarius energy for you guys. Fire energy, and Sagittarius loves nothing more than freedom and the good luck that is Sagittarius's birthright, being ruled by Jupiter. So people, again, may be in awe at times of like, how does pile 2 do this? How does pile 2, you know, end up going on a flight and hitting it off with the person sitting next to them who happens to like own a boat, and then getting invited on the boat, and then blah blah blah, and then that leads to this. Like, I feel like you have a lot of those fun stories where people may be like, oh my god, like, I can't believe that. If I was in that situation, I wouldn't have known what to do. I would have totally screwed it up, or I would have like been super scared. And you're just that person who's like, yeah, it was no big deal, it was really fun. But anyway, so again, I feel like a lot of your friends are kind of in awe of that, and they kind of are like, wow, like, I just wish I had that kind of bold, energetic, wild vibe that pile 2 gives off so effortlessly. I feel like a lot of that is your attitude, your expectation that things are going to work out for you, and just this inner confidence that you give off. Because I think, again, going back to the supermodels, like, you can tell when they walk down the runway how confident they are, and that they exuded that sexuality more so than other models. Like, they just seemed so powerful. And I feel like that's your energy. Like, it's just, yeah, I'm thinking of a friend of mine who just, she was just always like so unafraid. Like, if there was a guy in the corner that someone wanted to talk to, she would be over there in 3 seconds being like, come over here, come with me. And the way she talked to them, sometimes you'd be like, oh my god, you can't even talk that way. Like, she'd like be bossing them around. But you know what, a lot of people really liked it, so it worked. That's what you guys are kind of reminding me of. Anyway, let me get into some astrology for you guys. Okay, so we got 4th house, Cancer. Then we got Gemini and Pluto. So we have 2 water signs. So Scorpio, Cancer, and Gemini. So 4th house, Cancer, you may be seen as a little bit of a mom to your friend group. Oh, I just cracked my knuckle unintentionally. I don't do that on purpose, but anyway, I don't know how I did that. 4th house, Cancer, you guys may be seen as a bit of a mom, and like I said, I do think a lot of people look up to you. Some of you guys might have also felt drawn to pile 1 because there are some similarities with pile 1. They got Cancer as well. It's a little bit different, but there are some similarities. So if you feel drawn to that pile, definitely watch that. But yeah, with Cancer, I feel like a lot of your friends really see you as this role model. They look up to you. They kind of pay attention to what you're doing. It's almost like fan behavior, you know? Like, I feel like they would check your Instagram or check your stories every time and be like, wow, they did that. Oh, that's so cool. And they may see you as someone who has a lot of wisdom, a lot of guidance, and you may naturally attract friends and people who like are kind of just shocked and feel lucky that they get to be friends with you, and kind of can't believe their luck. And you may be like a little bit of an icon or a legend even to like their friends or their family. You may be that friend that like at the dinner table they talk about with their parents, like, you're not gonna believe, so okay, you know my friend Sarah, okay, so she got a job doing this, and yeah, she got it because blah blah blah, or yeah, she went out, she traveled to like Australia and she ended up meeting this surfer guy, and oh my god, isn't that crazy? And like, just their whole family is like, wow, Sarah sounds so powerful. And they might really honestly, in their friend, their social group, whatever, their family, they may really think of you as like this dynamic powerhouse and just be very curious about you. Then we have Gemini. Gemini rules the 3rd house of communication as well as short travel. There's definitely a travel vibe around you. So I don't know if some of you guys travel a lot and your friends pick up on it, or they just see you as that personality type of like that dynamic traveler that's always off to new places, exploring things. Definitely Sagittarius energy. But with Gemini, you guys also might have that charisma that Geminis have, being able to talk about anything, being very unafraid. Geminis are like always interested in a million different subjects. They also always have the best gossip. Geminis and Libras, air signs in general, have amazing gossip. So a lot of people may notice this about you, that you just seem to know about know a lot. You seem highly in the know, highly knowledgeable about a million different things, and again, very charismatic, almost like you could talk to absolutely anyone. Then we have another sign that knows a lot of gossip, though water signs in general know gossip because people trust them, or people feel comfortable opening up with water. But with Scorpio, Scorpio definitely knows all the secrets on everyone because they love secrets and they just find out things with their psychic abilities. But yeah, we have Scorpio. Scorpio definitely gives off that primal sexual magnetism. Scorpio rules over the 8th house of sexuality. So again, there is that vibe around you of being very sexy, being very attractive. The 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, Pluto, also relates to other people's money. So it can sometimes, when someone has a lot of placements in the 8th house, indicate that they may marry someone with a lot of money or be financially provided for by others. And you may just give off that vibe or that charisma that you just seem like the type who would have really high standards and not be willing to date someone unless they had a certain amount of money, or that you just might have that charisma and like riz to you where you are able to, finesse someone into a relationship that may be very powerful, or that you might just be that kind of person that people are like, I want to buy you expensive things. I want to buy you the nicest, shoes and like a nice bag and blah, 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 and drop all this money on you. I feel like people wouldn't be surprised. Like it's almost like that kind of relationship. Oh, and I just looked at the clock and it was 22222. So, or 2222. So twos in numerology definitely indicate relationships. And again, there's that vibe that you can have whatever kind of relationship you want. You can date whoever you want. You just have that level of attractiveness that you guys give off. So yeah, I think that's what I have for you guys, pile 2. If you enjoyed this reading, please check out all my other videos on here. And the drill, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to see even more of my stuff, then head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about who you're meant to be. But there's so many different readings, over 60 readings over there about all different kinds of subjects. So I'd love to have you join us over there. There's still time for you to vote on the next 2 readings. So if you want to join and help decide what we're going to be talking about next, then the time is now. You can just head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description to join me on Patreon. And if you guys want to get a private reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can get a half hour or full hour-long session with me. Have me pull tarot, read your astrology channel for you, whichever you would like, or a combination of them. So yeah, if you want a reading with me and to ask me about basically whatever you'd like within reason, then you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link is in my description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back very soon again for another reading. So take care, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the Page of Swords, the Hanged Man, the 4 of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, 8 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Cups. So I feel like in your friend group, you guys are that friend that all of your friends would go to for advice. They really trust you. They kind of look up to you. They may even see you as a little bit of a mom. They may see you as being very psychic. I don't know if some of you guys are like outwardly open about being into astrology or tarot or spiritual matters, or they just are getting a kind of psychic witchy vibe from you. But I do feel like people in your group see you as very wise, having a lot of wisdom. We got the Wheel of Fortune, which is connected to Jupiter, and the Hanged Man, which is Neptune. But this is Pisces, which is also ruled by Jupiter in ancient astrology, and Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. Jupiter is a planet of a lot of spiritual knowledge, and Neptune is a sign of the collective unconscious. So I really feel like a lot of people would go to you when they need advice or wisdom on relationships, difficult situations. They may also feel comfortable opening up to you because you guys seem like you would be very trusting, very understanding. You would kind of be that soft place to land where they could come to you and tell you like anything. And even if, it's a crazy situation, you might really give that understanding vibe that Pisces gives off, where you're going to be understanding and try to see their point in things and, try to relate to them. So I feel like you really might have a lot of people tell you like secrets and stuff that they wouldn't tell anyone else about because they really trust that it's going to be kept safe with you. I also feel like they really think you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge. You're very smart, but not not just in a book smart way and not just in a purely street smart way either, in a very spiritual way. I feel like a lot of you guys are old souls in this pile. You just have a lot of knowledge. You know a lot of stuff. You guys might have very vivid dreams. But there is this vibe that I feel like your friends, when they are around you, it almost feels like coming home to them, or it almost feels like having a little cup of tea in like an old country cottage vibe. You know what I mean? I know that's a weird thing to say with like a relationship, but I do feel like you give off that vibe of that friend that is like this comforting mother figure. And you might even decorate your house in a way that's very comforting or very sweet or cozy with like a lot of blankets or something like that. But I feel like people being around you, it feels, you know, you have the energy of like, I'm seeing like a medicine woman in a video game, you know, or like a tavern wench character in like a medieval video game. I don't know if some of you guys feel very connected to the Celts, the Celtic people, the Druids, which is like the traditional indigenous religion to Europe or Northwest Europe, like England and Britain and a lot of countries in Northwest Europe. But I feel like a lot of you guys give off that vibe of like the comforting old, you know, wench who would like greet you at the tavern and get you a beer and talk to you about your troubles. You know, there's just something very welcoming, sweet, open, almost like a mom energy you give off. You may be kind of protective of your friend group and really look after the people and kind of, you know, make sure everyone's doing okay, or notice like, you know, Rob's been acting a little weird. I think he's kind of stressed out. You know, we really haven't seen him much since he broke up with Lydia, and maybe we should kind of like invite him out. And then it turns out you invite him out and he's been like super depressed, and everyone's like, how did you know? Like, how could you tell that Rob was depressed? And you just like know things. Your group of friends might even say stuff like that, like, oh, pile three just knows things. Pile three just knows random stuff, you know. I also feel like you guys seem kind of spacey, so your friend group might even think of you as a little bit of a flake. We definitely have some flaky vibes with Sagittarius and Pisces. I mean, they're both ruled by Jupiter and they both love to be in their own little world, doing their own thing, exploring and kind of learning, and they're not so great about being a super reliable texter. They're not that reliable friend that you just know when you text them they're going to be at home and easy and available to talk. So you might be hard to get a hold of at times. You might give off a vibe of someone that like you might have to call you a couple times in order to actually get a hold of you, but once you do, it would be the most amazing conversation and you'll be on the phone for like 3 hours. That kind of a thing. Some of you guys might not even be big texters at all, but I feel like your friend group sees you as a little bit elusive at times, like I said, somewhat spacey. So you have kind of like that higher spiritual knowledge, but when it comes to things like paying your bills or taxes or, you know, showing up on time or some of that more like mundane human knowledge, you might not have as much of that. And it's funny I said human knowledge because you almost seem a little like non-human, not in a bad way, but like a fairy energy or like a celestial being type energy, or a Pleiadian or something like that. I feel like there's something about you that just seems very different, very unique, and not like you're just worried about the same things that everyone else is worried about. You seem like someone who really, like I said, is more like of a spiritual person. You might also come off highly artistic. You might come off like someone who has a very artistic way of dressing or has a very artistic vibe. I'm almost getting, you know, like you seem like a character from a storybook or something, or seeing someone who looks kind of like Belle from Beauty and the Beast. How, you know, the whole town is like, there goes Belle with her books again, and she's rather odd, you know, or whatever they say in that song. She's beautiful, but she's rather odd. I feel like you guys kind of have that vibe where you kind of keep to yourself, or even like someone like Professor Trelawney in Harry Potter. You know, someone that just seems a little bit kooky, a little bit in their own world, but just seems to know a lot of stuff. It definitely is giving Pisces energy, and that kind of otherworldly, dreamy, witchy presence. So yeah, I think people think of you as a really great friend. They feel lucky to be your friend, but they may kind of roll their eyes sometimes at like, oh my God, I can't get a hold of her again, or she's like not responding to my texts again. They know you don't mean anything by it. If they know, if they're your friend, you know, of course they understand who you are as a person, but sometimes they might be like shaking their head like, oh my gosh, pile number 3. Yep, their phone is still on do not disturb. They still haven't responded to my text from 2 weeks ago, you know. But yeah, I also feel like you might seem very unconventional in that way. It might, some of you guys might have a hard time like finding a job at first or getting into like a very traditional field. And I do feel like even if you got a job in a traditional field, you would kind of stick out like a sore thumb in the office. You might not be cut out for like a 9 to 5 very traditional path. And I feel like you guys really give off artist vibes. So people may at first, when you're younger, before you found your path, there may be a vibe with you as kind of people worrying about you or being like, oh, I hope pile 3 is doing good because they're such a sweet soul, they're such a nice person, but I know they have a really hard time trying to make it work in the accounting office they work for. Because I feel like that 9 to 5 like cubicle type life is just not for you. So you might really run into problems with that. And some of you guys might even, face issues with like bullying at offices and stuff. I just read a study about how people who are perceived as altruistic actually and good and kind actually face more aggression from the other out groups. So they get a lot of animosity from others, and it's because they kind of trigger inferiority complexes in people, because people are like, oh my gosh, pile 3 or whoever is so nice, and you know what, they didn't have to bring donuts in for the office. Ugh. And it irritates them because it brings out their own perceived selfishness. It makes them realize how selfish they are. And I feel like that kind of a thing might happen to you at times, where maybe sometimes you're like, wow, these people are coming against me and I didn't do anything. I wasn't mean, I was only kind, and yet you just get faced with a lot of nastiness and rudeness, stuff like that. So yeah, I do think for you guys that your friends are protective of you. They worry about you. They think of you as very sweet and very charming. I also feel like there's something charming about you, and you might be someone who just has a lot of people kind of falling in love with you, because I feel like you kind of give off that manic pixie dream girl vibe that, men just seem obsessed with because they're always making movies about this type. So I feel like, the thing about the manic pixie dream girl that's so appealing is she does seem kind of creative, and she takes people out of their normal life. She seems very sweet and nice, but she's also kind of kooky and different. And I feel like there's something elusive and beguiling about her. And you definitely fit that vibe. So you may have a lot of people who have crushes on you and are into you. And it may not even be something you notice. I feel like it's something like your friends notice, and they might even talk about with themselves like, oh, look, she's talking to this random guy at the bar. Oh, you can just see his eyes as he starts falling in love. You can just see the way his gaze changes as he stares into her eyes and starts getting drawn into her little web, and you're not even trying to do it. You just have that natural kind of feminine goddess, high priestess energy about you that is so attractive to so many people. And being in love with you or flirting with you or whatever kind of can seem otherworldly to a lot of people. It can seem like entering another realm. So again, your friends might joke about this. They might say things to you like, oh my God, leave some guys for the rest of us, or like, oh, he's just gonna fall in love with you like all the others. And you might be like, what are you talking about? But it's like they're seeing something you don't, or they know that it's not normal to have to have guys look at you that way after you've only been talking to them for 30 seconds, the way, you have that happen for you. So yeah, I feel like some of your friends kind of like chuckle about the effect you have on people like that. Let's get into some more cards. So and you guys got extra cards because an extra one fell out, which doesn't surprise me for you guys since you do seem to have that connection to the spirit realm. Maybe your guides were like, oh, they need another card. But anyway, we got the Swan Queen, the Hawk Prince, the Diamond Dreamer, the Eagle King, and your additional card is the High Lady of Love and Compassion, Reverence, Kindness, Consideration. There's definitely that very compassionate, loving, sweet energy that you give off. You seem like that kind of person who would give money to homeless people or stop to, try to help a stray dog, or you also might be really good with animals. Animals might naturally be drawn to you. You might have your friends say stuff like, oh my gosh, like be careful around my cat. He's really aggressive and he kind of scratches people. He doesn't like anyone. And then the cat is like cuddling in your lap 5 minutes later, and your friend is like in awe, they're shocked. But you have that connection definitely to the spirit realm. And I think a lot of animals can tell how big your heart chakra is. So they can see all the love for the collective that you exude. And yeah, I think people really you know, they really revere things with you, and they notice that even if at times you can seem kind of spacey, this is definitely giving me like also Pisces Mercury placements, which I think is such an interesting placement. Technically, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. It's not really the best placement for it. But at the same time, I personally love it. And I have Pisces Mercury friends, multiples. Of course, not a surprise. I am a Pisces, so I vibe with them. But I think that people sometimes underestimate Pisces Mercury. And what I found is sometimes the things they're saying that make the least sense, where you're like, what are you saying? Like, this just doesn't make sense, literally will come true like a month later, and you'll be like, oh my god, that's why it didn't make any sense, because it was a psychic vision. Because most of the time psychic visions, to be honest, they don't come through super coherent, just like dreams don't come through super coherent. You kind of have to piece them out and be like, okay, I think blah blah blah, and it gets easier the more you do it with practice. But I think Pisces Mercury tends to really speak channeled from spirit, so sometimes they seem kind of spacey, and sometimes that's why Pisces, you know, astrologers put Mercury is debilitated there, is because it's not exactly the clearest way of communicating, but in a way, I think it makes so much sense. And a lot of times they act on intuition. And anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about Pisces Mercury, but I do feel like you're that kind of person that would make a comment that sometimes people who don't know you well would be like, what are you talking about? And then your friends are like, no, 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 like, you don't need to get on her case, you'll see in a month. Like it will make sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense now, but it will make sense, because it's almost like you might have made visions or predictions or just random offhanded comments. You know, you might be that person that like everyone loves a certain actor and they're like, oh, he's so dreamy, and you're like, he gives me the creeps, I don't know, I just can't get into him, he's creepy. And then couple months or years later, there's some scandal that comes out about him and it turns out he is a huge creep. Or there's someone that everyone else hates and you're like, I love that person, no, I think they're really sweet, I like them. And then everyone hates them, and then a year later you were proven right, you know. But I feel like you guys have that psychic vision, and your friends have learned to start really listening and paying attention to it. And again, that vibe of you guys really giving excellent advice and having so much knowledge, I feel like your friend group just really turns to you for wisdom and advice and knowledge whenever they are in trouble or they need to know something. You are their go-to person that they would be like, let me call up pile 3 when I really need wisdom, when I really need guidance, because pile 3 just knows so much stuff. Yeah, and also that Diamond Dreamer card, you guys might also give off a bougie vibe at times. You know, I'm seeing that, I'm seeing the image from like a storybook of the princess and the pea. So you know how that story is, like they took a tiny little green pea and put it underneath like 25 mattresses, and she could still feel that because she's such a princess. I definitely feel like you guys kind of give off that vibe. You might be that kind of person that people know not to invite you out if it's not like a 5-star situation. If it's not like everything's nice and right and the energy's good, then don't invite you, because you might be that person that would like ghost a party easily if the vibe is off. Like if the people are shady and being weird, you're just gonna leave. Or if the club is really kind of janky looking and there's not good drinks and like the music's too loud, you're gonna leave. Or if the restaurant is again janky and like just not a pretty appearance, and you know my pet peeve. My pet peeve would be those dang cement. I don't know why they're doing this all the time. It looks like a prison. This cement interior design style, everything cement, table cement, floor cement, chairs made out of metal. I'm like, are we in prison? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this, but I have my theories. But anyway, a style like that, like you might be with me where I'd be walking out post haste, okay? My Taurus placements, second house placements cannot deal with that. So you might be with me where we're like, okay, I gotta go. This is janky as heck, and I am not sticking around to sit on a metal chair for the next hour. No, thank you. But I just feel like you give off that vibe where sometimes things have to be nice for you, because you kind of have that gentle, sweet energy that you need the nicer things. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's get into some more cards for pile number 3. Let's get some cards for pile 3. How do their friends see them? Passion. And I'm telling you, you definitely give off that vibe of a, natural like appeal that you have to others. Like I feel like people are just very drawn to you, and they see you as someone who can naturally attract all kinds of romance, all kind of romantic partners, someone who has zero trouble finding love or getting attention in that space. Then we also have spirit guide. Again, we talked about this very strong psychic ability you have, and your friends probably picking up on the very close presence of spirit guides, ancestors, angels around you, and they might even perceive you as someone who has really good karma. So they might even warn people like, oh, don't mess with pile 3 because like you will learn because they have really good karma. So you will find out what happens when you screw with pile 3, because trust me, their guides will be on top of that. They may have seen that happen to other people, like someone's mean to you and they get smacked down by karma very quickly. And then I also feel like people do perceive you as strong. We have very courageous, strong, courage and strength cards coming out. So yeah, I feel like people do see you as bold. Even though you might seem spacey and soft-spoken at times, it's not because you're scared or intimidated or nervous or like quaking in your boots. It's because you just, if you're being quiet, it's because you don't feel like talking, or you don't like the person, or you don't like the vibe. But I do feel like your friends really respect how you carry yourself and think of you as a powerhouse. Think of you as someone who's very strong, very capable, who, like I said, they probably turn to you for advice all the time. And just know that, you know, they can really look up to you. They can really turn to you and trust you because you have this amazing vision and knowledge. Let's get some astrology placements for pile number 3. So we got Neptune. Oh my gosh, why am I not surprised? Virgo, which is on that same axis. And then we have the 7th house, which is Libra. I could totally see Libra vibes for this pile as well. So let's talk a little bit about Virgo, since that is kind of the one that the vibe that I feel like might be the most surprising, I guess. But it makes sense to me because Virgo is on that same axis with Pisces, which we'll talk about, of service to others and also of hygiene. With Pisces, it's more about spiritual hygiene. With Virgo, it's more about physical hygiene and doing things right and keeping them organized in the kind of natural world, I guess. With Pisces, it's kind of on the astral plane. But anyway, they're both energies of service to others and really taking care of people and really being very compassionate and wanting to help others, wanting to see how can I make the world a better place? How can I, you know, improve things? What can I do to extend myself? And so both of them can be very selfless signs that are willing to give so much of themselves. Virgo is also a sign of purity. And I should say, yeah, the axis is more about purity, less cleanliness, but more purity. Pisces, spiritual purity; Virgo, physical purity. So, you know, Virgo really likes things to be pure. It is the virgin, literally. So it's all about things being kind of untainted and pure. And you might literally give off that vibe. Your friends may think of you as very innocent and very like, kind of like, oh, we got to protect pile 3. They're not tainted like everyone else. They're not like jaded, and you know, they're not like, if they're gonna do something real shady and do something kind of like low vibrational, they may not invite you, you know, because they may be like, no, 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 like pile 3 doesn't need to see this. You know, pile 3 is such a sweet little angel, and we need to leave pile 3 like that. We need to leave pile 3 in their kind of like sweet, innocent energy. So we're just not going to even invite them while we go to this like shady party that's happening, you know. I think they think of you as very sweet, very loving, and very innocent, and sometimes a little bit even naive or like gullible in that way. So then we have Libra. Libra, the 7th house of relationships, and Libra is such a diplomat. It is the diplomat, and Libra loves to make sure everyone is getting along, everyone is feeling good. Libra also can really look out for the collective in that way. They love to make sure that things are being fairly done, that no one is like screwing someone else over, that everyone kind of is on equal footing. That matters a lot to Libra. So Libra would definitely stick up for you if you are being screwed over by someone, or someone's being really mean to you and like calling you out. Libra would probably be that person to step up and be like, hey, like that's really messed up what you're saying, and actually that's not fair. I mean, lack of fairness is like their Achilles heel, like that. They will intervene every time when they see something done that's messed up. And that's why Libra is so great at relationships, and it literally rules over the seventh house of relationships, because they really want everyone to be copacetic. They want everyone to get along, everyone to feel good, everyone to have a positive experience, and it matters a lot to them. So again, I feel like you guys give off that very sweet vibe, kind of like you'd be that person at the party that would come up to the person standing alone in the corner, not sure who to talk to, feeling insecure, and you would be that person to come up to them and be like, hey, let me introduce yourself. My name's Pile 3. What's your name? And just be really sweet and charming. And also, Libra has so much charm. And again, you guys give off that charm for sure as well. You have a very high charm quotient. Then we come to Pisces, which I've been mentioning throughout this reading. And you guys definitely give off this very strong Pisces reading. Pisces has a lot of the same charm as Libra with others, but it's also very connected to spirituality. It's the 12th house. It's ruled by Neptune, which is like the collective unconscious. So Pisces really is, it's a highly, I mean, probably the, if, well, I mean, you could argue for all of the water signs being the most, but it's extremely psychic and very much in tune with other people's feelings, other people's thoughts, other people's emotions. That's why it's the fish. So it swims in the collective waters of other people's feelings. So they may think of you as kind of gentle because of that as well, because sometimes Pisces can kind of easily exhaust themselves because of that, because they take on everyone else's feelings and emotions, that they can find themselves randomly being sad or upset or tired or drained just because they're at a public situation. So some of your friends might sometimes worry about, you know, oh, don't invite Pile 3 out to this, because like this is like really loud nightclub and they're just going to get drained. Also, Pisces is like arguably the oldest sign in the zodiac. It's the 12th sign. So it's the final manifestation after you've gone through all the other signs. So it can have a like older energy where, you know, an old person isn't going to want to go to a rave. So Pisces can sometimes, not all Pisces, some Pisces are highly sociable. The ruler of the 10th house for Pisces is Sag. So it's a very it can be very outgoing, but it also can be a sign that needs a lot of rest, needs a lot of relaxation, and kind of can be like, okay, I'm a little burnt out because I, you know, was at some like public festival and now my circuits are fried because I've been literally taking in everyone else's energy for the past 4 hours and I am ready to pass out and go to sleep. Your friends might also think of you as someone who gets a lot of sleep, because we did get that Four of Swords as well. So yeah, I think that's what I have for you guys. Pile number 3. So if you want to see more of my content, be sure to check out all my other videos on here, and make sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. That really helps the channel. As always, let me know your thoughts, because I love hearing from you guys in the comments. And if you want to see more of my content, then head to my Patreon. I post all my additional readings over there. I just posted one all about who you're meant to be. And if you sign up now, you can still enter into our poll for the next 2 readings that we're going to do. So you can still vote on that. But you will get access to over 60 readings as soon as you sign up. You get access to everything. So there's so many different subjects to go over. It would take me forever to list all of them, but there's lots and lots of content. So I would love to have you join me over on Patreon. And if you want to sign up for that, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description. And I'd love to see you there on Patreon. And if you guys want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. You can have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you. You get to really ask me about pretty much whatever, depending, but most topics are totally allowed, so it's your time. You get to ask me what you'd like. So if you want to sign up for that session with me, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon for another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey Pile 4, welcome to your reading. So for your tarot, you guys got the Three of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, Eight of Swords, Queen of Cups, the Magician, and the Strength card. So I feel like, first of all, there's something kind of elusive about your energy. I don't know if you guys keep your circle really small and you don't have that many really close friends, or if you're just kind of elusive from your friends. But I feel like they do think of you as kind of secretive, or someone who might not even be easy to reach. They may think of you as someone who kind of goes MIA for a while, or just doesn't doesn't respond to text for a long time, that's the first thing I'm coming through. Is sometimes they just like don't even know what to make of you. They're like, I don't know what pile 4 is up to. I don't know what pile 4 is doing. Like, they haven't called me. I don't know, they're not posting on social media, something like that. But I do feel like they think of you as someone who's very smart, maybe very educated, or someone who reads a lot, has a lot of knowledge about different cool things. I feel like you guys have a very extensive bit of knowledge. So you might be very familiar with like a book series and all the lore from that and all the names, or maybe you know all about how to like fix a car or something like that. But there's something about you guys being very educated in this field and very knowledgeable. So I feel like your friends think of you as someone who's really smart, has a really interesting mind, interesting way of thinking about things and processing the world, and also as someone who's very reliable. I feel like even though, like I said, you may not be someone who's like always in touch, constantly posting on social media, but you may be someone that they know they can kind of depend on you when they need it, or they know that if you committed to doing something, that you will be there, that if you said you're going to show up, you're going to show up. So I feel like they think of you as someone who they can really depend on, and to a certain extent they can kind of predict, rely upon, call upon if they need it. And honestly, someone who seems to me very down to earth, kind of humble, not in a bad way, but someone who is like not super full of themselves, not super delusions of grandeur or anything like that. And you might even listen to music that's kind of like down home or simple music or humbler music, something like that. I don't know. But there's something about you guys not being full of yourselves, or even not seeing yourself as amazing as you really are. For some of you guys, this, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, may even be something like low self-esteem or something. Some of your friends may think you have low self-esteem and that you don't perceive yourselves as amazing as you really are. And kind of like, wow, if only pile 4 could see themselves how they really look and how they really act, and as much as charisma as they really have. So some of them may be kind of like frustrated with like, pile 4, why don't you see yourself this way? If some of you guys have been afraid about going out a lot or approaching people or dating, this could be that. I don't know, but there's some energy with some of you guys as like keeping yourselves inside the house, or not putting yourselves out there in some way, or even like not dressing up in the way you should to like show off your full beauty. Maybe some of you guys dress up in ways that kind of like don't show everything off. But I do feel like a lot of your friends are like, pile 4 is freaking awesome. Pile 4 is so like trustworthy and such a loyal friend. I feel like a lot of you guys are truly loyal. You're truly someone that you would do anything for the people that you're really close to. And so some of them are actually kind of coming through as like mad if you've been treated badly in other relationships or in other friendships. That definitely makes people upset, and they definitely think about it and are like, it's so unfair because pile 4 has such a big heart. Some of you guys may have been hurt by relationships or friendships in the past that caused you to kind of like, I want to say, hide away or just not trust as many people. And I think that's something that makes your really close friends sad, because they see you as someone who is so charming and has so much potential, but there's almost a vibe where your trust is very hard won. I'm hearing that quote from Mr. Darcy from 2005 Pride and Prejudice, such an amazing movie, where he's like, I'm the kind of person where my good opinion, once lost, is lost forever. I feel like you kind of have that vibe. So there are your friends who are a little bit intimidated by you in that sense. They're kind of like, pile 4 is the person that if they like you, if they're close to you, they are so loyal. They would give the shirt off their back. They would do anything for you, but they also, will cut you out if you like stab them in the back or you betray them. And I also feel like you don't have tolerance for like tomfoolery or nonsense, or someone who's like overly full of themselves or overly arrogant. You just wouldn't want to be around someone like that. But if someone is loyal and humble and a genuinely good person, then you'll definitely welcome them in and want to be close to them. There's also a connection for some of you guys, not everyone, but of being really close to your dog or being an amazing pet owner, that you would be someone who would make an amazing pet owner, or just animals may be really, really drawn to you. But again, of how responsible and loyal you are. So you wouldn't be one of those negligent pet owners that like forgets to feed their cats for a few days or something like that. You would be that person that would make sure that your animals have all the best things and that their needs are really taken care of. I feel like they also think of you as a great parent, someone who would make a great parent, and that you really look out for the people around you. There also is this energy with some of you guys of having had to go through a lot. We have the 9 and the 8 of swords, so possibly having been in an energy where, you know, you felt like the world was against you, or where it really seemed that way. Like almost like some of you guys have having had to overcome adversity in some way, and that giving you this real inner core of strength that builds you into the person that you are today. That's like this force of nature. So I feel like a lot of your friends, they just have mad respect for the way that you carry yourself. And also I feel like they see you as a good reader of people. So if someone's coming in pretending to be nice but not really nice, you might be the first person to spot it, and you also might be the first person to distance yourself from them, or to tell the group like, hey, I don't know, I have a bad feeling about pile number, or about random person, none of the beautiful piles today, but random person X, I have a bad feeling about them. I think they're kind of shady. And even everyone else might be like, what are you talking about? No, they're super nice. But everything you say ends up coming true. So I feel like your close friends just know that you're not the type to be really fake around people. I'm thinking of a Scorpio in my life who would be the first to know, of course, just like a typical Scorpio, would be the first to know when someone was being shady or weird or underhanded. And, you know, whenever I would be like, no, we should be nice to them, it would always turn out that they were true. They were just an incredible reader of people. But it's almost like some of that has to come from, you know, sometimes being hurt in the past, or knowing how mean people can be, or knowing how shady people can be. So I feel like they really trust your judgment on a lot of things, and really look up to your vision, your knowledge that you have for a lot of stuff. Yeah, and I do feel like you give great advice for the people that you're really, really close to. You have that knowledge and you're happy to use it and apply it to your loved ones. Let's get into some more cards. So we got the Desert Prince, Survival, False Promises, the Web Weaver, Synchronicity, Divine Intelligence, Cause and Effect, Gaia's Garden, Fruition, Abundance, Reaping What You Sow, and the Hawk Prince, Spirit Communication, Paying Attention. You seem like the kind of person who really pays attention and would notice the small details. I feel like, you know, with your friends, it may be something where you remember everyone's birthday, or if someone's like, oh yeah, I hate vanilla cake, I only like chocolate for some reason, I just don't like vanilla, you would be that person to remember. And if they're having an office Christmas party and gonna get a vanilla cake, you'd be like, oh wait, we have to get chocolate for blah 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 person. They don't eat vanilla, and you would be that person who would remember that and have that knowledge. So even though sometimes when someone first meets you, they may think of you as just like a run-of-the-mill person, you know, normal, you're actually so observant and nothing kind of gets past you. So for that reason, you would also make an excellent like worker, employee, boss. You're really great in every professional capacity. And I feel like one thing your friends keep bringing up is how competent you are, how efficient you are, and what a great job you do in life. Like, I feel like if you're a stay-at-home mom, you'd be that amazing stay-at-home mom going above and beyond. And if you work in an office, you'd be that office worker that everyone can turn to and depend on and be like, hey, pile forward, they're so helpful, they helped me on this project. So if you feel like that's going unnoticed and you feel a little underappreciated, just know that people are noticing it. People do pay attention to all the little things you do. And even if you don't get that verbal assurance of it, trust and believe that people notice and do pay attention to it. I also feel like you're very concerned with the collective. This Web Weaver card is making me think of Aquarius, which is the water bearer, which is really the person who would go around in the village bringing water to people. And that's Aquarian energy. It's very concerned with the collective, with larger groups, and with how everyone is doing, but kind of from a dispassionate, not in the same way that like Pisces is concerned with the collective because it's very emotional. Aquarius is an air sign, so it's a little more distant. So people might at first not think of you as like so sweet and they're doing so much for others, because I feel like there's a standoffish quality to you at times. There's something that you're not just going to let everyone in. You're not going to be all warm and fuzzy and be like, everyone group hug, let's just pile on in here. That's not your personality, but that doesn't mean that you're this cold person. And I feel like your friends realize how loyal you are. It's kind of giving me that energy of like the mom who would be like, not gruff, but who wouldn't be like, hey everyone, I made a pie and who wants to sleep over? But she might be like, hey, make sure the plates are cleaned. And she's not gonna be all like lovey-dovey to absolutely everyone, but she's like the mom that would notice if a kid was feeling sick, or the mom that would notice if one of the kids was feeling insecure and sitting quietly in the corner and not talking, or the mom that would notice a change in behavior in one of the neighborhood kids and question them like, is everything okay at home? You can talk to me. And be that mom that would be the person to be like, hey, this is messed up, like something's going on here. But you are that person that I feel like you do give so much to the people around you. And I do feel like your family, friends, people in your life are stepping forward just to be like, I'm so grateful for Pile 4's presence. They've done so much for us. And even if we don't say it, we do notice it. And we do realize how loyal and how amazing and how reliable and sweet they are. I feel like you take care of a lot of people. You kind of clean up messes after people, and just know that people do notice this. They do see all that you do for others. And I also feel like your friends are mentioning again that you have at times been done wrong by people around you. You have had people screw you over or treat you badly or just not treat you with the respect that you deserve. And the only message they're saying is sometimes you can kind of put down walls, or like stand off it, be a little too standoffish, or sometimes not trust anyone. And they are saying maybe it's good for you to open things up a little bit more. But I also feel like you do see the truth in people. You have that kind of scorpionic knowledge of who's being shady, who's being weird, and who doesn't really mean it when they're being friendly. So, in a way, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I feel like your friends just want you to have the beautiful love you give back return to you, because honestly they feel like you deserve that so much. But again, you guys are very, very smart. That's another thing they're pointing out. And you might have a bit of a dry sense of humor. It may take a while for it to come out, and you might have had friends that at first they were intimidated by you, or they thought you were just kind of quiet or shy. But then after you get to know someone really well, you start opening up and talking more and making jokes. And then they're like, oh my God, Pile 4 is one of the funniest people ever. Pile 4 is so great to talk to. I love being around Pile 4. And they're so incisive. They make the most incredible observations and always have interesting things to say. So yeah, I feel like people really, it's funny because I do feel like at first you are not the warm and fuzzy type. And at first people sometimes may even think you have a resting witch face, so to speak, and kind of like, oh, Pile 4 doesn't like us, or Pile 4 is kind of mean. But then they get to know you and they're like, oh my gosh, Pile 4 is like the best person ever. They're so nice. Yeah, they're so nice. They're so kind, and they'll do anything for all of us. Let's get some live shuffle going. Live cards for pile number 4. What do Pile 4's friends think of Pile 4? What do Pile 4's friends think of Pile 4? So we have new beginnings, happiness. Really think this message is coming through of how much you deserve happiness, Pile 4. I almost feel like this session is this card reading is coming into a session of like just appreciation and just gassing you up and being like, Pile 4, you deserve the world. Because I feel like they just feel, I don't know, some of you guys have been feeling underappreciated, or that sometimes you might feel like you don't get noticed, or like other people get attention over you or something like that. And maybe you've been feeling a little downtrodden, or just kind of like down in the dumps about that. And I just feel like they want you to know how many of your friends, family members, and people around you do notice you and think of you as amazing, and know that you deserve happiness. So even if they might not tell you this, keep in mind you may be a little intimidating. So they may feel like if they were to make such a sappy comment and be like, you deserve the world, Pile 4, that you'd be like, okay, this is cringe, no thanks, I don't need this. But that's what they would really want to be able to tell you, that you do deserve so much, and they really want to see you like happy and loved up. And yeah, so I do feel like they're pointing out your boundaries, and that sometimes those boundaries might prevent people from getting in a little bit. But again, they're mentioning your amazing sense of humor, that you're so funny, and you might have a lot of those really cool interests. Like you might know everything about a certain, I don't know, movie or anime or book, or random field that someone brings up, like some kind of like law of thermodynamics thing from Wikipedia and you know all about it. I just feel like you're very, very knowledgeable and you have a lot of practical knowledge. I feel like you're the kind of person who's just very competent. Like, I feel like your friends would trust you if you guys got stranded on like a desert island, and you know everyone asks that question, like, what would you bring or who would you bring? Would you bring anyone in your life? And I feel like all your friends, family, whatever, would be like, Pile 4. I want Pile 4 coming, because Pile 4 just knows stuff. Pile 4 just has that magic ability to do a lot of random stuff. They'd probably figure out how to like rig together an empty like Coke bottle that washed up on the shore with like some, I don't know, coconut to make a water purifier. They just make magic happen somehow. Pile 4 just knows how to do stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of respect coming through for you in this pile. Let's get into some astrology dice. Spirit, can we get some astrology dice for Pile 4? How do their friends view and perceive them? Okay, this makes a lot of sense to me. We have the 11th house, Aquarius, as I mentioned, so we'll talk about that. Then we have Saturn, which rules over Capricorn, and finally Leo. So let's start with Leo. Leo is a powerhouse energy, and it's actually sharing that same axis with Aquarius. And so both of them serve the collective in different ways. Leo serves the collective by giving so much of themselves and really by being very creative. And one of the ways Leo tends to serve the collective is by putting out art, music, movies, like any kind of performance of any kind is definitely a Leo energy. They're highly creative. People may think of you as very creative and someone who has a natural gift for writing or performing or for poetry, and possibly someone who could be very charismatic when they're given that kind of like actual center stage. Like, I don't feel like you're someone who necessarily seeks out the center stage energy, but when you're given that opportunity to shine, you might be that person who, you know, is quiet a lot of the year, but then like everyone's making jokes at the holiday party and everyone's laughing their behinds off because they're like, oh my gosh, Pile 4 is so funny. And Pile 4, you know, when someone passes them the mic, they just know exactly what to say. And people may be blown away by that by you, or your friends may be saying like, hey, listen, that's how Pile 4 is. You guys don't see that side, but we see that side. We see that funny Leo, like charmer energy that Leo just loves to be the center of attention, loves when all eyes are on them, and enjoys serving the collective that way. Enjoys putting a smile on everyone's face by doing a little song and dance or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of that Leo charm when people actually get to know you. And Leo also relates to children. So the 5th house of children. So some of you guys really may have a connection to children. And I feel like you would make a great parent because you're very responsible, because you aren't that person who would like be lazy and be like, well, I didn't feel like feeding the kids, so whatever, you know, they can fend for themselves tonight. No, you would be that person who's super responsible and is like, okay, I got the kids, fed them, I, you know, put on a movie, they watch the movie, then I put them to bed. Like, you're very responsible and you really make sure everyone around you is really taken care of in such a beautiful way. I feel like your friends and family are so grateful for that. Then let's move over to Saturn. I can definitely pick up on the Saturn energy with you guys, Capricorn energy. So Saturn can bring troubles and hardship. I love Saturn energy, so I think Saturn sometimes is overly feared in astrology when those hardships are often a blessing. But again, I'm picking up on that vibe with you guys that you might have been through some hard stuff, and some of your friends and family maybe just be saying like they've gone through a lot and they've come out on the other side. And we have, again, mad respect for Pile 4 because they went through all of that and they're still standing. I'm hearing that song, I'm Still Standing by Elton John. Another thing about Capricorn is it can come off very harsh because Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, they tend to face a lot of these events and they just carry this energy in them innately, but also they face a lot of these events that are hardships. So it's like, whereas someone else, like a Sag ruled by Jupiter, a Sagittarius who has luck on their side, they might be able to like break the law or skirt the rules or turn in their paperwork late or, you know, whatever. And they're going to skate by fine because they are ruled by a major benefic Jupiter conferring luck. But, you know, a Capricorn, they turn in something late. They try to like take an illegal U-turn, you know, when no one's around, they're going to get pulled over. They're going to get flagged for late paperwork, they're going to get the fine. And they just learn that. They just learn that they got to do things right. So sometimes Capricorns can have that harsh energy and be like, people perceive them as being overly serious, or someone who like just doesn't have any fun, which is such a misunderstanding of Capricorn, because Capricorn, I wouldn't say Capricorns love to have fun, but they obviously have a fun side to them. But they just need to make sure everything's done right first. They need to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because if they don't, Saturn will like beat them up. So they have to do this. So I feel like for you guys, sometimes again, people can pick up on that serious vibe from you guys, and they may think of you as overly serious at first, but that's really what Capricorn is supposed to do. Whereas the other signs are kind of able to goof off and laugh, Capricorn's there to make sure that everything is running on time. It's kind of like, there's a quote, and it's a funny quote if you've ever traveled to these places, but it's something like, heaven is like the cooks are Italian and the people who run the trains are German. Hell is where the people who run the trains are Italian and the cooks are German. And it's so true. And that's how astrology works, really, is like you really need all of those signs. And so we need to have like the trains run on time. And that's kind of a Capricornian thing, right? To make sure everything is done right, to make sure everything is taken care of. And that allows everyone else to be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I feel like you do a lot of that work for the collective by making sure that things are run right, making sure things are taken care of. And I feel like your family, friends, and everyone around you is just wanting to give you that credit for that you really do so much for others, and you have a lot of efficiency to you. And that efficiency may make it easy for you to manifest things. So people in your life may also perceive you as someone who's going to be able to build a lot of wealth, make a lot of money for yourself one day. And finally, we have Aquarius, the water bearer. So as I had mentioned earlier, Aquarius really serves the collective so much. Aquarius rules over the 11th house of other people, large groups, and also hopes and wishes. So I feel like a lot of you guys do so much going around making sure everyone's cup is filled, making sure everything is okay, everyone is okay, everyone is taken care of. And it's just a tremendous effort. I feel like your friends, family are coming through with so much gratitude to say you've made such a difference in so many of their lives by doing this. Also, the thing about Aquarius is Aquarius can come off distant as well. It's an outer planet. It's ruled by Uranus. It can sometimes come off a little bit cold in that way. But the thing is that Aquarius just knows that, like with the water bearer, if you're that person that goes over and is overly emotional, like Pisces, which is concerned with the collective, but is a water sign, and is more emotional. If you're too emotional and you are the actual water bearer meant to pour water in people's cups, and someone's having a rough day and they ask for extra water and you say yes, and that means someone at the end of the line won't get enough water, right? So you kind of have to be dispassionate. You kind of have to be that person that's like, no, you don't get water. Sorry, you got your water and that's enough. I have to be fair. So sometimes people can think of Aquarius as like, oh my gosh, you're kind of being mean, or you're not super nice, or whatever. But what it really is Aquarius serving the collective in that way, and knowing that that's just how it has to be, so that everyone gets something poured in their cup. So there's something very fair, judicious, and like I said, very loyal and nice about you guys, even if at first you're not that fuzzy little teddy bear that some people may want you to be. You are giving so much to the people around you. So I really hope that resonated, pile 4. Let me know how it did in the comments, because I'm kind of really curious about this pile. I would love to know your thoughts. And if you want to see, if you like this reading, then watch more of my content. I have a ton of content here on YouTube. I also have a Patreon where you can watch all my additional readings, and I just posted one all about who you're meant to be, so who you are meant to turn into. But as soon as you sign up for Patreon, you get access to all my readings, so over 60 additional readings. And if you sign up now, you will still have time to vote in our little poll for the next 2 readings. So if you get in there now, we're still voting and deciding on what the next readings will be. So come in and sign up. I would love to see you over there, and the link for my Patreon is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. Hope to see you guys there at Patreon. And if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can get a half-hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, and you get to ask me about pretty much whatever, within reason, of course. But yeah, you get to decide what we talk about during your time time with me. So if you would like to get that, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. Also, I forgot to mention, but please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That really helps the channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, you guys. I'll be back again very soon with another reading. So take care, guys. Bye.